Alright, in my last video I was talking about our reaction times suck on 400 Pro Tree. Actually, with the setup we have, we do really good on a 500 Pro Tree, but most of the races we race index, for some reason they're on a 400 Pro Tree. Even though a Sportsman tree, it drops 0.5, half a second on each light, and they do have 500 Pro Tree. I think Edgewater Index in Ohio, I think they run 500 Pro Tree. But anyway, we do good on those based on the reaction times. We let go of the button as soon as the yellows come on. As soon as we see a hint of those three. On a Pro Tree, the three yellows light up at once and then green. So from the first those three yellows light up at once, there's 0.400 of a second that green light goes off, and then 500 Pro Tree, it's 0.500, half a second. 400 Pro Tree, 4/10 of a second. Now, there's that 0.400 that those yellows come on, that the trans brake button, you release it, and, there's human interaction there, how fast you can release it. And then that goes down, and it, trips the relay, if you run a relay. And then there's the time the relay has to take to close. And from what I understand, the single pole, double throw relays like we're using can take anywhere from 0.01 to 0.03 to actually open, whereas a solid state relay, it only takes like 0.000008 or something like that for those to complete the circuit. And then the trans brake solenoid has to do its thing, and then there's some time involved there. But there's also rollout. Now I'm going to try to discuss rollout with these two blocks. Pretend like these two blocks are beams of light. Now on the tree, when you roll in, and I'm going to move the blocks, just pretend the car is moving. When you roll into the tree and that tire interrupts this beam, it turns that top yellow light on. We'll move this one on back some. Now, here's the second beam. Once your tire rolls in so far and it interrupts that beam, it lights up the second beam. So now, rollout is the time it takes your car to get out of those beams. Your car has to completely clear this beam before the time will even start. So you actually get a rolling start before your time even starts. You actually get that rolling start before, as the light's turning green. So that's why you want to take off on that third yellow if you're running like a Sportsman tree. That's why you want, and on a Pro Tree, that's why you want to take off when you see those yellows light, because it takes a while for everything to happen. It takes a while for your car to roll out of those beams. Now, how fast it takes your car to roll out of those beams, from my understanding, is called the rollout, and it varies on cars. It has to do with how round the tire is. It has to do with how fast your car is 60 foot. Obviously, the faster your car is 60 foot, the faster it's going to come out of those beams. The smaller the tire, the faster it's going to come out of those beams. The bigger tire, the longer it's going to take to come out of those beams. Also, the air pressure. So if you let the air pressure out, the tire is going to set flatter and have a wider area down here. And it'll take longer to get out of those beams. The more air you got in it, the less contact down here. So the less it's going to take to roll out of those beams. All those take into factor. Now, if you're cutting a real crappy light, what you can do is deep stage. A lot of Sportsman guys do this. They'll deep stage so much that they'll turn this light off. So they're only going off of this light. And then, you get out of the beams quick then. But you're not allowed to deep stage on Pro Trees, from what I understand. But you can still deep stage enough that you're farther into the beams, but you're not so far that you're turning this light out, and that's going to help your reaction time also. And It's kind of hard to do that on a Pro Tree. The reason why is sometimes when you light both of them beams, that light goes off. Boom. Just like that. As soon as, it depends on if the other guy's staged or not, but once both cars get, if you're the second one going in, the other guy's got both his lights already lit, and you go in and you light your second one, boom, it usually goes real fast. That's the way they do around here anyway. So you really don't have time to sit there and foot brake and deep stage. Now, if you have a trans brake bump button, you can set that to where it'll scoot the car so far forward, because those all got settings on them to where you can just like barely hit it and it'll just move you a couple inches, or you can barely hit it and it'll move you, say, 6 inches. So, like, if we had bump boxes, and I might get one for Christopher's car before the November 4th race. If you have that bump box, you can set it to where it'll stage you deeper than what you normally would. And then that way you cut a better light if you're cutting terrible lights. Now, if you're red lighting, you just want to barely stage. Another thing is, the shallower you stage, you know, the longer it's going to take you to react, because it takes more for the car to roll out. But that's going to give you your fastest time in ET, because you get more of a head start. If you barely just light that second beam up, it's going to take your car longer to get out of those beams. The longer it takes to get out of them beams, the faster you're already going, because your time don't start until your tire clears those beams. Now, if you shallow stage, or deep stage, if you deep stage, I meant to say shallow stage on the other one. If you barely turn that second light on, that's going to net your fastest times. But now, if you deep stage, it ain't going to take much to get out of them beams. Your time's going to start, and you won't have as much as a rolling start as you would have if you shallow stage. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. That's something we could probably experiment with too, to try to get better reaction times on them 400 Pro Trees, trying to stage a little bit deeper. Because if you're cutting a 0.12 and you're shallow staged, about as shallow as you can be, just barely turning that second light on, you're cutting like a 0.12, and you deep almost enough to turn that top bulb out. I mean, it's probably going to make like a 0.0, I'm gonna guess a 0.05 difference. I don't know for sure, but it does make a pretty big difference, shallow versus deep staging, on your reaction time. And then, you know, again, how fast your car 60 foot, how big or small your tire is, how much air pressure you got in it, how fast it takes that car to get out of them beams. But I think I'm gonna get him a bump button. He's gonna order the boost leash, which has a bump built into it. The one he's gonna order does. But for now, I think I'm gonna buy him the simple stage, and I'm gonna buy that. And then when he gets the boost leash, I'll take the simple stage and put it on my car, because my car is just going to run 650 index. I just need a simple, you know, for the rollout and try to stage it in deeper. I just need a simple bump, whereas Chris wants to have complete control over his boost and bump, which will help him. So he's going to get the boost leash. So when he gets the boost leash, I'll just put the simple stage on my car. So yeah, that's the game plan. But hopefully we'll have that in by November 4th. And because we're going to the I-64 race and I-64 Motorplex in Owensville, Kentucky. They've got index classes, sportsman classes, and a bunch of heads-up classes, and some team classes, actually. I think you pick 4 cars, and whoever wins 3 races first advances to the next round. It's kind of cool, and it has to be street cars. They're going to do a cruise and everything like that. But yeah, it's raining right now, but if it dries up, I'm gonna go to Kentucky Dragway and do some gamblers bracket racing. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about rollout a little bit more. I wish there was some kind of calculation based on your tire size and 60 foot and everything to get that rollout just right, because them apps that you practice with, they require that information. It's hard. I mean, I don't know how you calculate that, because your suspension has a lot to do with it too. If your suspension's real tight, you're going to come out of them beams faster than if your suspension is loose. How fast the car's 60 foot, how big the wheel, etc. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, but I don't know. Hopefully that that Biondo trans brake button helps over that Summit button, and hopefully a solid state relay helps over those mechanical, or whatever they call them, magnetic. I don't know. It's a single pole double throw relay. Here's both of them. Here's the single pole double throw. It was plugged in right there. And then this one, which, I mean, this one, the current, when it's not energized, when I say not energized, to energize it, you got to have a ground and a power on these side ones. And it don't matter. This can have a power or ground. This one can have a power or ground, but they both, one has to have a power and one has to have a ground to energize it. And when it energizes it, current flows through here. It can be hot, it can be ground, however you want to do it, but now when it's not energized, current flows through here. Which really makes it easy for like setting up nitrous with a trans brake, because when you're on the button and it's energized, it goes through here, have your nitrous here, you let off the trans brake, it unenergizes it, and then it flows through here, and have your nitrous on the middle one. But this one right here works pretty much the same way. You got a power and a ground, and then it completes the circuit here. You know, if it don't have a power and a ground, then nothing goes through here. But if it has a power and a ground, then it completes the circuit. So, which is, you know, it doesn't have the double like this one. This one has the double where it could be here or it could be here. It just has on or off for up here. But really, that's all we need for trans brake and turbo. If it was nitrous, we'd probably have to double these up. You could do it by doubling them up in a certain configuration, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm gonna order him the simple stage, and when that comes in, then I will do a video on putting all that in. I just wanted to go over the rollout and how that affects your reaction times, etc. That was a crude way of explaining it, but hopefully y'all understand. I think it stopped raining. Yeah, it stopped raining. So if it stops raining, they dry the track. We'll go do some we'll go do some bracket racing with this one, and then but if it rains us out, and I'll make a video of that. But if it rains us out, probably the next video is going to be putting that Biondo 00 button in these cars, and then November 4th, Chris is coming down. We're going to go to that I-64 race, I-64 Motorplex, what they call the Real Street Revolution race in Owensville, Kentucky. But anyway, y'all tag along, and we'll get the videos.